So, Fantastic Four. Also, screening late in the game. Also, a bit strange, if I'm being honest. Marvel does not do a lot of public screenings. At least they used to not do a lot of public screenings. So what am I talking about? I want to break this down like a fraction. I want to make it as simple, as easy for you to understand as possible. So the screening is, of course, looking at the film for the first time. It's usually an assembly cut, and that's what it was for this Fantastic Four screening as well. What that means is not finished visual effects, but it's shot for shot an actual final cut with unrendered stuff. So you screen this thing because you want to get the audience reaction. Now, Marvel classically, they do a ton of screening. That's actually why there's so many leaks for Marvel, is because they do a ton of screening. But back in the day, they would screen internally. What I mean by that is these are employees, friends and family of employees. This is all Marvel people. So they roll up and they do, which, by the way, a lot of the time, once a production wraps, you'll get a cut that like the VFX department will all assemble and watch a cut, and they'll have like all these different screenings. Okay, but Marvel uses them a bit differently, and they use them for quality control. They use them to remake the films. It's been a part of the Marvel formula. Marvel actually schedules a reshoot period. A lot of you know this, but they literally schedule 3 months of reshoots for every single movie. And if you were to ask them when they roll cameras on day one of principal photography, what are you going to be shooting in the reshoots? They literally don't know. They have this process that's similar to the Marvel Comics formula, where they're going to film it, look at it, make notes, and then depending on what they need, their reshoots could be wildly different, right? Because that's just how they roll. Now, over the past couple of years, due to, I think, declining box office returns, they started doing public screenings of some things. So a couple of movies they did public screenings for, Quantumania, Captain America Brave New World, The Marvels. Those are all movies within the past couple of years that they did public screenings for. So this would be in a big city, in a certain marketplace. I think there's agencies that would probably gather up the people for it. You get an invite, you go to this film, it's an assembly cut, you watch it. I think you're technically NDA'd or something, but everybody breaks that shit anyway. And then you fill out and you give notes on it. Okay. Now, when we were talking about Thunderbolts, when we were leading up to Thunderbolts, one of the things I told you guys about was the fact that Thunderbolts did not have public screenings. So Thunderbolts, they were so high on internally that they didn't feel like it needed public screenings. I took that as a big feather in the cap of Thunderbolts, because I was like, damn, like, dude, that's an impressive sort of outlier within the past few years. That's cool. They're very confident in this thing. And they were. And by the way, they should have been, because it's fucking awesome, dude. Thunderbolts is an incredible movie. I think potentially top 10 Marvel, and just really good. I love that film. So when I heard that Fantastic Four got a public screening, I'm going to be honest, my first reaction was like, oh boy, like that's a little tough, right? But here's the thing. Quick sip of coffee here. Hang on. To be fair, I think Thunderbolts changed things for Marvel. And again, not everybody agrees. There's some people in Hollywood that think that Thunderbolts was a success somehow. Well, I'll tell you this, Marvel doesn't. And I think Marvel was so shocked at how badly Thunderbolts is performing that they decided to do a public screening for Fantastic Four very late in the game, because they were like, dude, we didn't do this for Thunderbolts, and it's just like, I don't know, it's crazy. So, two things on that. It could mean that they're either very nervous just in general, or because of Thunderbolts, they're incredibly nervous. As I said at the top, Marvel's in a different spot now, and I think everybody's looking at Fantastic Four and really nervous that it could underperform. Guys, if you think there's a chance now that Fantastic Four underperforms because of Thunderbolt, throw a 1 into the chat. I'm just curious how many of you are out there like that. But I certainly feel that way, and I know a lot of other analysts do as well. Like, it's, yeah. Like, in fact, yeah, there's a ton of 1s in the chat, guys, like if you're on the podcast feed. So I think that's part of it. I think Marvel was like, damn, dude, like, we really need this thing to pop. Let's do a public screening. Because I think they're high on the film. From what I understand, they're very positive on Fantastic Four. But again, they were positive on Thunderbolts, and it's like, it just didn't work out for them. So that's part of it. I think another part of it, though, is the leaks. Like, I'm going to be real. I think they wanted the post-credit scene to leak. Okay? Now, I don't want to talk about that right now because it's incredibly spoilery. Here's what I'll say about it right now in the moment. The thing you've heard that's out there, it's probably true, but there's more to it, and I want to explain the whole thing. I also want to explain the other post-credit scene because basically the screening that happened this week had one post-credit scene. And it wasn't the one that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. But I still think the one I talked about a couple of weeks ago is happening. And I need to explain like how this is happening, what's going on with Marvel, and also how the post-credit scene sets up Doomsday, because it's nuts, right? But I think that's part of it, the promo, right? So this screening happened. It's an assembly cut, and with the one post-credit scene. And I talked to some people that saw it. And a lot of the insiders, a lot of the scoopers, a lot of the people that are like, you know, influencing the sphere or whatever, they are talking about mixed reactions. Mixed reactions, okay? So nobody's saying that it's bad. Nobody's saying that Fantastic Four is bad. But it is getting accused of being mid. I think there's sort of mixed reactions from like mid to incredible, right? And look, let's be fair about this. That is not what we heard with Thunderbolts. That is not what we heard with Thunderbolts. What we heard with Thunderbolts was like, dude, everybody fucking loves this movie. There were like a few people that went to the screening that didn't like it. But for the most part, like I'm telling you, it was like 95% of the things we read, 90% of the leaks that came out, people were so hyped up on that shit, okay? Now, I will say this about the test screening results. I think because it's an assembly cut, just hear me out on this, dude, because this is going to be a fucking incredible point that a lot of you guys are not going to appreciate. So listen the fuck up. Okay? Listen up. Unique situation. It's an assembly cut that's public in a movie that's heavily reliant on visual effects. I want you to understand what that means. It is possible a lot of the mid reactions that we're getting are because a lot of public people don't know what the fucking assembly cut is, and it's also damn hard to appreciate a visual movie with unfinished visual effects. Okay? Does that make sense? So I want to be completely fair about this. Yes, there are mixed reactions to the screening. Let's be fair. Let's be real. Just like with Superman, mixed reactions to the test screen. Okay? That's what's out there. However, I also feel like there's a big caveat here as it is a public screening that's also an assembly cut, which is weird a little bit. And I'll go into it in the leak video too in a little bit more specificity. But that's what it is. Okay? So, you know, maybe if you're a person, because I saw some people out there that were like, I don't care about the post-credit scenes. Is it a good movie? Like, are people loving it? And, like, it's got to be real. It's not getting the same buzz that Thunderbolts did. So it might not be as sharp, or there might not be as much of a consensus on the movie being incredible. But that's what I can tell you. I will also say that the post-credit scenes, plural, because I do think there will be two of them, they're crazy. And they're bigger than any of the post-credit scenes we've had in a long time. You know, even Thunderbolts, when they had that fan screening, it was like a week before the movie came out. Oh, my God, dude. I remember people were saying like, oh, dude, Thanos is in one of the things. Oh, my God, Doom does this in one of the post-credit scenes. And I was like, holy shit. I like reached out to some sources. I was like, is this real? And they were like, no, dude, none of that's real. Here's what it is. And I was like, oh, that's not as cool. The post-credit scenes for Fantastic Four feel like the kind of scenes that we're going to say, that's not real. Like, they're that good. Okay? And I know some people are like, dude, that's not going to be enough. Like, that who cares? Like, oh, I hate this thing now where we sell movies off post-credit scenes. Yeah, well, fucking guess what? They need hype, dude. Like, they need hype. Like, let's just be honest. With where they are at, what did Thunderbolts not have? Hype. It had everything else. It had everything else. It did not have hype. And it hurt the film, dude. So, Fantastic Four needs hype. And those post-credit scenes are absolutely fucking crazy. Here's another thing I'll say about it. I heard a lot of stuff that's in this movie. A lot of stuff that's not in plot leaks that are out there right now. Which I guess would happen when someone literally sees the whole film, right? But dude, everything I've heard, like, so it's to the point where it was kind of fucking painful for me just about a minute ago, maybe 2-3 minutes ago, where I was trying to say, like, there are mixed reactions. Some people say it's mid. The whole time I was saying that, on the inside, I was like, yeah, but this shit's so cool. This shit's so cool. Because I heard some stuff that's in there, guys. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Dude. Yes. And ironically, it actually all kind of helps the post-credit scene have more impact. Man, they're cooking with this spoon. For us nerds, man. For us nerds, for you, Jonathan Hickman, Fantastic Four, FF fans, oh, man. It just sounds so cool. Dude, Johnny gets some serious shine in this movie. That's all I'm going to say. He gets some serious shine. Like, y'all ever played D&D? Okay? Y'all ever played D&D, Dungeons and Dragons? When you play Dungeons and Dragons, the Dungeon Master is supposed to do this thing where they give you the spotlight. Okay? So each player needs to get the spotlight a little bit. And you got to find interesting ways to do that. And you want each player, because you want the narrative, for each player to have a cool moment in the narrative, right? And that's like a difficult thing. You got to kind of balance that. Oh, man, I got to say, Johnny gets his spotlight moment. Beautiful. Franklin Richards. Oh, shit. Oh, Franklin, man. Wow. Wee-wah. There's some dope Franklin stuff. What else can I say? Mysteries around Doctor Doom may or may not be in the movie, actually. In the actual film, as well as potentially in other things outside of the film, post the film. So, to me, it sounds fucking epic, dude. To me, it sounds epic. So I'm excited about that. You know, I wasn't sure, man. Some of the plot leaks that have come out from Fantastic Four, like, they feel a little too, like, I don't know. It felt a little too safe. Fantastic Four. And some of the stuff I heard from the screening specifically, I was like, yo, I really like that. I think that's a really cool moment for that character. Oh, they're doing that to that character. Whoa. Oh my God, this character does that. Whoa. Wait, what? That's actually in the movie? By the way, empty chairs. Ah, man, should I say this? Empty chairs. So remember the chair thing that Marvel did with all the chairs? There may or may not be an empty chair in the movie. That's significant. And I wonder if they did that on purpose or if it's just serendipitous. But yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So yeah, so there you have it. There you have it. With regards to Fantastic Four, screening came out. To be completely transparent, yes, there are some mixed reactions to it. Yes, it is a little concerning that they did a public screening. I think more than anything, it speaks to the nervousness of Marvel Studios, which is something I've heard internally as well. You know, they're a bit nervous, and they should be. I mean, I think this is a measurable low point, and that's not to say it's the end, that it's just a low point, and that I think from here it will tick up. I think FF, even if it underperforms, is going to outperform Thunderbolts and Captain America. I think it hits 5-6 easily. If it doesn't, we might have to have a different conversation, right? And maybe Marvel is so terrified of that they're like, yo, like, public screening, like, let them know about that shit. Thank thanks for watching. And if you like this clip, smash a like on the actual video and subscribe to this channel. That way more of these clips get into your feed. I've also linked the full episode below if you want to check out the entire thing, including the Q&A we do with fans. You can also watch this show live. We do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can also find all of my content, including the videos I put on my main YouTube channel, on the podcast feed.